What's up, family? It's your girl D Ray, the Divine Relationship Alchemist, helping you heal your relationship with self to heal your relationship with others. What's actually blocking you from connecting with spirit? That's the topic for today. What is stopping you from connecting with spirit, from connecting with your higher self? That's the topic for today. Before I jump into it really quickly, if you missed out on my Sunday readings, send me an email for next Sunday. Send me an email with your Skype name or your Skype account, whatever, and I will put you in queue to get a free 10-minute reading or a free 10-minute consultation for next Sunday. The readings went great today, so if you missed out, again, email me for next week, relationshipalchemy1144@gmail.com. Excuse me. If you already know you want a reading, an extended one, a consultation, or coaching, go to my website, relationshipalchemy.org. Subscribe, like, share, whatever. Let's get to it. What's actually stopping you from connecting with spirit? The first thing, and I want to say the most important thing, is fear. Fear, that ego-based emotion. Fear is the first thing that is stopping you from connecting with spirit and really tapping in to yourself. First thing you got to understand is that all the intuitive hunches, all the messages, all the information and the downloads that we are receiving ultimately come from ourselves, right? And so when we are connecting with spirit and when we're connecting with these energies and entities, it is only because we are in a space to where we are actually able to receive it, right? But if you're still living in fear, then that connection, right, that lifeline, that communication that can be had is cut off. It's like you got energies, entities, your higher self that want to communicate with you, but your fear cuts it off like this and it doesn't come through. Right? Not only that, I was reading in the book. Did I bring it up here? Yes. Libernal and the Psychonaut by Peter J. Carroll. I was reading this book and okay, first of all, let's backtrack. How I came up with this book, how I came up with this topic. So a couple of nights ago, I was half sleep, half awake. So alpha state, really in that drowsy state. And what happened was I was asleep, and I had like rolled over or something like that. You know how when you sleep, but you got to roll over, you got to get covered. So you briefly wake up, right? You just briefly wake up, but you really still sleep. So you're really in between states of being. You're in between your sleep state and then your waking state, which is that alpha state. You're in alpha state and you're in that state of being to where you're open and your perception to all the energies around you is vibrant. So that's the state that I was in. And in that state, I saw three feminine energies in the room with me. One was leaning on the dresser, one was actually sitting in the bed, and one was actually sitting on the floor. So they were in our bedroom straight chilling. Right? Now, this is important because back in the day, years ago, I would see things like that, but I would psych myself out to say that I didn't really see those energies. I didn't really see those entities, right? And what that was what Peter J. Carroll calls in this book the psychic sensor. Meaning there's an aspect of your mind, the psychic sensor, right? There's an aspect of our mind that closes off the spiritual experiences that we're having for our protection, right? Because if we are left wide open to actually perceive all the spiritual experiences that are actually happening, we'd probably be crazy as hell, right? And so the psychic sensor cuts off those spiritual experiences sometimes and kind of makes us like, no, that didn't really happen, or no, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. So that's a physical aspect of ourselves, right? That's a physical aspect of our minds that does that. But when we're trying to reach higher levels of consciousness, when we're trying to take our spirituality to higher levels, we have to awaken our awareness to the sensory perceptions, to the spiritual experiences that we're actually having, and actually be open to them, right? And so what he said in this book was that a lot of times when we're on automation, so when we're doing the things that we naturally do, when we're doing the things like washing dishes, like folding clothes, when we're just in that flow state of doing what we do automatically, that's when the most spiritual things are happening, because our awareness is turned down, right? So I'm telling you right now, we're in that half wake, half sleep state of being. A lot of spiritual things is happening, and then you never know, you may be within that time frame of the witching hour. For example, I woke up last night to change my daughter's diaper, went to go get a diaper, went to go get the wipes, and it was 4:44. That is not coincidence. What that is there's a whole bunch of spiritual transmissions that are coming to me at this time, and they're coming in my sleeping and dream state of being. Anyways, so there were these three feminine energies in my room when I was half asleep, half awake, and I saw them. I'm telling you this because I want you to release the fear, right? Because what happens is we see these things, we kind of get scared of them. We're like, oh, what is that? Or we're like, no, I don't want to see that. Or what you want? You know what I'm saying? But there's a certain energy that you have to exude in order for you to receive the messages that these energies have to bring for you, right? And so many a times I have awakened in the middle of the night. I've seen butterflies flying in our room. I've seen flowers. I've seen an old lady sitting on the edge of the bed. I've seen this before, right? Like, energies are with us, especially at nighttime. So if you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you see something, try your best not to experience fear. And that's why what you have to do is do more research. I felt that sometimes it gets me off guard and I leave the room. See? And so you have to get more familiar with what's actually happening. Because like Lorena said in the chat, sometimes you like, oh, no, and you want to kind of disappear. You know what I'm saying? But when we grow in our awareness and we understand that at the end of the day, these energies can do us no harm, then we are able to release that fear, and we're actually able to transmute the energy that sometimes they're bringing, if it may be a low vibrational energy. For example, I had 3 women. One of those women who were she was in the same kind of phase as me. So I don't take nothing lightly when I'm seeing 3 feminine energies. That's the maiden, the mother, and the crone, right? So this is the triple goddess, right? The crone was literally sitting in the bed with me, right? The mother was the one sitting on the floor, and then the maiden was actually, maiden meaning the young one, she was actually leaning up against the dresser in my room, and she was the main one I was like communicating with. The other 2 was just there to support, but I could feel the energy of the mother who was actually sitting on the floor, and I could actually feel that she had some type of, I don't want to say like hating, for lack of a better word, she kind of had like this kind of hating energy about her, like, you know what I'm saying? But I had to correct her, and I had to let her feel my energy, like, look, you in my space. Y'all came here to tell me something, right? So I had to cut off the fear of dealing with these energies. And when you do that, they're able to send you messages. So one of the reasons that we are not connecting with spirit, one of the reasons that we are not connecting to our higher selves, is because we're still experiencing some fear. And we got to release that. But then again, if you can feel that it does not feel right, then you have the power to command an energy to leave, right? Because you are in control. You are in control. All of these energies are just reflections of you. All right. And so in my dream, they actually showed me this book. The maiden was holding this book. She had said something. She said something, Brother Panic. And I guess when she said Brother Panic, she knew that was going to immediately perk my ears up and I was going to want to be listening. But the maiden energy in my dream state showed me this book. And the spiritual thing about it is that they were actually in my dream before I had woke up. So I had dreamt of these ladies, right? And this is so freaking deep. So they had came from the astral with me back into my room. They were in my dream, and I was actually talking to them in my dream. We're doing stuff. We're like at a water park or something. They were in my dream, and then when I kind of woke up from my dream, they were in the room with me. Yes, okay? This is what I'm telling you. And so the maiden tried to say something like, and this is also the thing about communicating with spirit. It's telepathically. Like, it's just a knowing. You just know what these energies are trying to communicate with you. It's not like literally like using your words, like, yeah, what you want me to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just kind of look at the energy and there will be this transmutation or this telepathic communication. All right. And so in the dream, they showed this book and they showed an exact page, and the exact page was page 169, and page 169 was the page of shamanism. Let me show y'all what it is. This is page 169. So to me, first of all, I need to do research on this entity, because this entity may be ready to work with me, or I'm ready to work with this entity. This entity is ready to do work on my behalf. Right? But then the page that came up was shamanism. So now I'm tapping into a greater knowledge and understanding of myself. Right? Because if an entity is in my room, then there's some aspect of me that have attracted that entity to me. Right? These entities, these energies, they only see light. They only see light. So at whatever level of consciousness you are at is what type of energies can come down to you and can relay a message to you. So I got this shamanism message, and actually I've read this whole thing and I got the insight, the download that I needed. We ain't go into all of that, but the information that I did get from this book that I do want to share with you is the psychic sensor. Right? And that is saying that there's so much information, there's so much knowledge, there's so many spiritual experiences and coincidences that were actually happening, synchronicities that we're actually having, but we lack the awareness. Hey, everybody. We lack the awareness of the spiritual synchronicities that are actually taking place, right? And a part of that is because we don't want to be aware of it. A part of that is that we have fear of saying like, damn, that just happened, that just happened, that just happened, right? And so your mind has to protect you in some way, shape, or form. Your mind cannot allow you to have and experience all of these spiritual things that are actually happening at one time, because what would end up happening is you'll be crazy. You'll be labeled schizophrenic. You'll be labeled even depressed. You'll be labeled bipolar, right? So you have to have the psychic sensor to cut off some of the spiritual experiences that you're having so that you can actually digest what's going on, right? If you're just having experience after experience after experience, you cannot digest and dissect and understand what the spiritual experience is actually serving to teach you, right? So one way that we are not connecting with our spirits, not connecting with entities, not connecting with energies is out of fear, right? That's one way. The second way is we actually don't feel worthy or valuable enough to actually receive the knowledge, the wisdom, the information from these energies, right? We think we just some okie dokie off the stokey, some regular person, right? Like, yes, it's me, it's you. It's you. It's you, right? You are spiritually connected. And so you have to know that. You cannot second guess. You cannot doubt who you are. You've been having a spiritual experience all your life. You've been having spiritual experience all of your life, right? We've just had so much programming that makes us forget those experiences. We've had so much programming that makes us disqualify the experiences that we're having, right? So I'm telling you right now, one, release the fear. That fear is ego, because once your ego, you got to get your ego on board with the fact that there's more beyond what you're experiencing right now. You got to get your ego on board that there is something past this. You got to get your ego on board that what I see with my two fleshly eyes is not just the end all and be all, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So that's one. You release that fear by having that knowing, and by knowing that these energies can do you no harm and that ultimately you have the control. Second, you have to know and understand that you are a spiritual being, that you are a divine being, right? You're divine. You're sacred. You are light. You have knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You have that, right? And you have to be open to actually receiving that. See, a lot of times people aren't going out and asking for more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? You just going along, just going. No, every morning I'm waking up, Spirit, send me some messages, send me something that I can receive, something that's going to help me grow, something that's going to help me to be better, right? So every morning I'm affirming that and letting myself know that I'm open and that I want to suspend the psychic censor so that I can actually receive the information that is actually out there for me, so that I can actually be a witness to those synchronicities. All right? So we're fearful sometimes. Sometimes we don't feel that we are worthy to actually be getting these connections, to be getting these downloads, to be receiving these transmissions. All right? That's what we have to do. The last reason why sometimes we feel disconnected from spirit is actually because we're not connecting with spirit, right? Now, that sounds crazy because you can never be disconnected from spirit. Sometimes we feel like that when we're going through depressions, when we're in the dark night of the soul, we feel like we are disconnected from our spirit, right? And sometimes we stay in that state of being for far too long, right? Sometimes we don't understand how to go through the fire, to have that tower moment, to go through that refinement, but still tap into the inner resources, right? Still tap into our curiosity, into our compassion for ourselves, into our own understanding, into our optimism. Sometimes we forget how to do that. And in connecting to spirit, you have to remember your meditation. You have to remember doing things that bring you to peace, doing things that actually make you feel connected. Some of us are not taking action on a daily basis, going out of our way to connect with spirit. So if you're not making your connection to spirit a priority, then spirit is not making y'all's connection a priority. You understand what I'm saying? Right? And when that is the case, you don't see the synchronicities that are happening every day. All right. And so when I mean we have to be intentional about connecting with our infinite, with our nothingness, with our ka, with our divine being, right? With the part of ourselves that can be shape-shifted into any and everything, we have to make time and be intentional about creating that connection. So I'm going to intentionally go outside and walk in nature because I want to connect with spirit. I'm going to intentionally meditate on this specific topic because I want to connect with spirit in this specific way. I'm going to intentionally read a book. I received the channel on what page to go to. I opened it and I said, you know what, spirit, let me know what I need to download from this specific book, from this specific page. What do I need to receive from this? Channel it to me, right? I'm being intentional about building that connection. And then also for me, and y'all have whatever you do, but that's why I read tarot. I read tarot so that I can allow my spirit body, so that I can allow my spirit body to come up in me and channel through me on purpose. First of all, I love this feeling. Reading tarot, or for me also, it was playing volleyball. It can be anything that helps you to get into that flow state, right? Doing things like that, I love the feeling of it because you actually can feel yourself be overtaken with that divine energy, right? And so we got to be real intentional about connecting to our higher selves. Release the fear. Know that you are divine. You deserve this. You chose this life. Yes, it is you. You chose this life. You chose it, all right? You chose it. And you chose it because all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the understanding that you have to have in order for you to overcome in this existence is already within you, right? All of that knowledge, that wisdom, that information that you need to optimize this lifetime is in your DNA, right? And so when we connect with spirit intentionally and on purpose, we unlock the codes in that DNA in order for us to have the answers as to how we should progress in this life. That's all this is. I hope y'all can smoke some of that. I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Release the fear. Know that you are chosen. You are chosen. You are divine, right? And lastly, be intentional about connecting with spirit. Do something that lets you really feel and capture the essence of your divinity. All right? Email me, relationshipalchemy1144@gmail.com for a free reading every Sunday it's not really going to be from 1 to 3. It's going to be from 1 to 2. I'm only going to take a small amount of people at a time because it's a lot of energy. Email me to get your readings. Peace.